Moving right along to lesson 18. Today's topic is lines and angles. You got two objectives there. Let's go ahead and get started with our fun fact of the day. This is an interesting one to me. Of every single word in the English language, the word set has the most definitions. It's got 464 different things that it means, depending on the situation. It could be a noun, it could be a verb, okay, it could be all sorts of things, and it has different forms of the nouns, different forms of the verbs. 464 total ways you could use the word set, which is pretty amazing, actually. So, nothing else was even close. Alright, today we're talking about lines and angles. Not lions, lines, okay? And we're talking about parts of lines first. Okay, first thing we gotta know is what a line is. A line is something that extends in both directions forever. Okay? Now there are infinity points along this line. Point here, point here, point here, point here, point here, so on and so forth, and even points in between where my pen couldn't touch. Okay? But the key part of a line is that it goes forever in this direction and forever in this direction. Now let's say they gave us 2 points on this line. They gave us point A and point B. If you were asked to name the line, okay, well, since it goes forever in both directions, it doesn't matter if I start at A and go this way, because I would still have to go backwards, or if I start at B and go this way, because I would still have to go backwards. I'm going to cover this whole line no matter what point I start at. So when I name a line, the important thing is that I put the line symbol above it, and this could be line AB, or it could be line BA. Alright, now array. Array is a part of a line. Array is something that starts at a point and then goes forever in one direction. Okay? So, let's say that this is A and this is B right here. This has to be named Ray AB, and we put the symbol like this. Okay? And I'm not one of those picky people. I don't care if you put the dot on the end. This is a symbol for Ray, and it starts at A and goes forever toward B. Okay? We cannot name it Ray BA because that would imply that it goes from B and then goes forever toward A. And it doesn't go forever toward A. It stops here. Okay? So it starts at A and goes forever this way. So we have to name it the way it looks. It starts at A, goes forever toward B. That's important about array. Alright? Oh, also, ray, doesn't matter what direction it goes. I could have a ray that started on this side and went forever that way, too. Okay, that's still a ray, as long as it's got a starting point and it goes on forever one direction. Now, a segment. A segment is something that starts and stops. Okay, so a segment starts at a point and stops at a point. Okay, so here's a segment AB. Again, when I name it, I'm going to use the segment sign, and if I go from A to B, alright, that's the piece of the line. But I could also name it the other way, because if I travel from B to A, I'm still traveling the same part of the line. Okay, so this one, because it starts and stops, it doesn't matter what I name it. Okay, it starts on one side and stops on the other side. Or I could start on one side and stop on the other side. A line keeps going both directions no matter what, so that doesn't matter either. A ray starts in one spot and is specifically going one direction, so you've got to be careful when you name those. Alright? Next, we have to talk about types of lines or pairs of lines. Well, parallel lines are lines that would go on forever and never touch each other. So if this line extended all the way in both directions and so did this line, they would never touch each other ever. Okay, a perpendicular set of lines are lines that cross at a 90-degree angle. I guess I'm going to put that on here. They form a 90-degree angle when they cross each other. Okay? And they're lines on the same plane that will cross each other. So, like, imagine that you were a naughty child and drew pencil on the wall. Okay? If you drew a pencil on the wall, and then on the same wall, you drew another pencil line, and they never were going to touch, that's parallel. If you were drawing a pencil on the wall, and then this other pencil line on the wall, and they crossed a 90-degree angle, okay, that's perpendicular. Now, skew lines are if you were a really, really naughty child, okay? here's what skew lines mean. Notice how they're on different planes is what we call these. Okay, so skew lines are lines that never ever touch. Okay, they never cross each other, but they're on different planes. So look at this one. It's like it's on the ceiling of a building, and this one's on the floor. Okay, those are skew lines. Alright, because one's on the ceiling, one's on the floor. Those can't ever touch each other. Alright, so that's what skew lines mean. Let's go ahead to some more definitions here. Okay, we're going to talk about angles here, and how to name angles and parts of angles. Okay, every angle is made up of two rays. Alright, notice this is array B to A and array B to C. Okay, starts here, goes on forever this direction, and this starts here, goes forever that direction. And they join together to make what we call an angle. Now, important thing about angles is the point, okay, where the two rays meet right here, that is called the vertex of the angle. Okay, the vertex. And these are just its sides. So we got side BA, side BC. And we would name those like rays. Okay, if they asked me for the two sides, I would say that's ray BA and ray BC. And again, they make this angle right here. Okay, this is the angle, and that's what we usually measure, and we'll talk about that later. Now, if I was going to name this angle, okay, I always put the angle sign, and I could simply name this angle B. I could name it by its vertex. Alright, and that's usually an okay way to name an angle, unless, let's say we had another line that went, another ray that went this way, so we formed two angles right here, then this wouldn't be the best, because I wouldn't know which one's angle B. So we can name it like this sometimes, usually if we're only looking at one angle. Otherwise, we should name with 3 points that kind of show me how that angle goes. So another way I could name it is angle A, B, C, or I could name it angle C, B, A. But your vertex always has to be in the middle when you name it. So it's A, B, C, or C, B, A. Alright, because that's how we make that angle. That's how it forms. So any one of these three are okay. These two are better when there's multiple angles that are involved. Alright, now we have some types of angles. Acute angles. Acute angles look like this. And they are less than 90 degrees. Obtuse angles look like this. And they are more than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees. Sorry that ran together there. They are, here, let me rewrite that. That's really kind of scribbly here. Here, let's try this. We'll completely rewrite that here. So obtuse angles are more than 90 degrees and less than 180 degrees. Okay? Alright, a right angle looks like this. You will normally know it's a right angle because it's got a little box in it, and that is exactly 90 degrees. Exactly 90 degrees. A straight angle looks like this. It looks like a straight line. Okay, they may give you a little angle measure there, and that is exactly 180 degrees. Complementary. Complementary is two angles that add up to exactly 90 degrees. So they may look like this, okay? They may form a right angle, but actually be two angles right here. So that angle and that angle are complementary, because if I added their measures up, it looks like they should equal 90 degrees. Okay, they would make a right angle together. So again, if that makes a right angle, then this angle and this angle are complementary. Supplementary, sometimes you'll hear this called a linear pair, which should give you a hint. Okay, that's two angles because it pairs two angles, and linear means they form a straight line. So that form a straight angle. Which means they add up to 180. Okay? So, say for instance, here's a straight line, then this angle and this angle would be a linear pair. They'd be supplementary. They would add up to 180 degrees. Okay? Just a little tool to help you remember complementary and supplementary. I don't know how much this will help you, but it always helped me, is I remember that complementary comes before supplementary because C comes before S in the alphabet. So complementary is 90 because 90 comes before 180. Okay, complementary comes before supplementary in the alphabet. 90 comes before 180 in numbers. So complementary is 90, supplementary is 180. Alright, let's move along here to measuring angles. Alright, and here's how we read an angle. Okay, we got a protractor here. We always line up our bottom ray with the bottom of the protractor on that bottom line, not this very bottom line, but this bottom line right here, to where that makes a 0, okay, because that's where the measurements start. We always line up the bottom line with 0, and then I read where the other ray hits, okay. Now I've got two options. I've got either 50 degrees or I've got 130 degrees. This is where our knowledge of acute and obtuse comes in. Okay? Well, if I look at this angle, this is closing up. This looks like an acute angle to me. And I know that acute angles have to be less than 90. So that means that 50 has got to be the number of degrees in that angle. Okay? Can't be 130. It's going to be 50 degrees. Right, and that is your lesson on lines and angles and parts of lines and parts of angles and about everything you wanted to know about lines and angles. If there are any questions, make sure you ask. Good luck and happy homeworking.